Okay, so let's start with the first item on our agenda.
Now recording.
Hey there, Craigpot. Yeah, let's start with the first item on our agenda. Interviewing ThriveCoin. So we have Daniel here from ThriveCoin. And yeah, we just want to get on the same page, get to know what you guys have planned for seasons 2 and 3, and then just like try to put everything together so that we are all happy and cared for. So you have the floor, and let us know what your plans are.
Yeah, sure. I'm really happy to be here, and I think probably the easiest thing to do would be to make this as interactive as possible. So would love to, directly address any questions that anybody has. But I will back up and create a little bit of context for for the work that we've done with Aavegotchi and, what we hope to do going forward, and the relationship between Aavegotchi and the Voltron Hackathon. So backing up, fairly far, going back 2 months ago, we got this proposal passed that was called Aavegotchi, and the idea behind it was a simple one, which is that people in Aavegotchi deserve to be thanked, to be rewarded for the contributions that you make to the community. And the hypothesis, which seems to be proving itself out well and has across communities as well, was that if people are rewarded for the contributions that they make, they're more likely to create more value, more utility, more efficiency in the DAO. And so when we started with season 1, I'll share one other thought. We decided to do something really unique with Aavegotchi, and it was on the back of a number of brainstorms with members of the community. And there were different ideas about how we could do rewards. And so what we decided to do was have these really short seasons that are a month long. And then in each season, we would test a different way in which we would deploy or deliver rewards. So season 1, we tested raffle style rewards, and that was a lot of fun. I think we gave away over 60 prizes at the end of the season. And season 2 is direct distribution. And then season 3 is going to be rarity farming style rewards. And then a lot of people don't know this, but initially, when we made the proposal all the way up until right before it was about to be voted on, we were planning on doing a 6-month deployment. And 6-month deployments are, for us, they're sort of the most comfortable and the most usual, because with any pilot, you learn a lot along the way, and it gives us the time and space to kind of react and adjust. But feedback from the community was that it's hard to get anything passed where any amount of funds, even if the vast majority of them are being allocated to the community, is being asked for. So if you want to get this passed, then make it 3 months. And so at the last second, right before the snapshot vote, we cut the time in half. We cut it down to about 3 months. And the vote passed. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Woohoo! The vote passed.
User, sorry. Hold on a second. User default, you have a hot mic.
Yeah, she's the chicken bunny. She's the best baby. Best baby.
You're so crazy, girl.
Does anybody have the power to mute user default?
What?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, let's see.
It's good now.
Okay, I did. That's so strange. I just muted them, or at least I think I did. I felt like I had that power.
Yeah, I think it's just for ourselves. Like I also could mute him, but I don't think I muted him for everyone.
Oh, got it. So if others are having issues with that
Oh,
background
but I
noise,
think he got it now.
Oh, he got it? Okay, great. So season one was really about sort of generally, don't worry about it, no big deal. Happens. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they make a cameo in like every single meeting that I have. So if others don't have similar kinds of interesting experiences, then I end up feeling bad. Okay, so season one, the idea from the board in terms of how they thought about contributions was, let's get a set of contributions up that are reflective of a number of things that people are doing around the DAO that didn't yet express a perspective, but really was just kind of feeling things out. What are people doing? What are they attracted to? Where is their value that we have the opportunity to create, et cetera. And the impact of that was significant. We had, I think, somewhere around 1,700 people contribute. We had over 7,000 contributions that were made. And people generally thought of it as a pretty exciting and successful season. At least that's the feedback that we got. As the board went into season two, they wanted to develop a clearer perspective about sort of what was valuable and how we could really drive value in the DAO. And so they brainstormed this idea of the Voltron Hackathon. And we were really excited on the ThriveCoin side because we've supported things like this before, and we were really excited to see what happens with this too. And so the idea with season two was, gosh, what if we could fund builders in creating really enormous value for the DAO? And that was kind of where Voltron Hackathon started. We made there was a great sort of learning edge early on, which is in other communities, when we sponsor initiatives like hackathons or idea-a-thons or art contests or whatever it is, we always make sure to brand it connected to the work that we do. So it would be like, Voltron Hackathon by Aavegotchi. But at no point did we ever brand it. Even in, I think Cryptogotchi shared with me the first post that went out. Even in that first post, we didn't clarify, that it was from us. So anyway, Voltron Hackathon quickly kind of took on a life of its own. The people in here are literally the group of committed community members who said, hey, this is going to be amazing. Like, let's make this happen together. And the work that you've done has been really incredible. Even, having viewed from the sidelines, to go from like nothing to now having, I think it's 11 MVPs that are in development, and, stuff from like, back-end stuff that maybe non-developers will never understand or see, to like games where like battles can be happening. All this stuff that did not exist in the DAO is existing and is about to exist, and it's a really big deal. And nice job, by the way. Like, really, really freaking cool. And in the process of kind of wanting to support it, having Voltron really take on a life of its own, which is amazing. That's decentralization. It's what we hoped for. What we realized was that some wires got crossed in terms of how communication happens, specifically around rewards and timing. So the idea, again, originally for season two, was that it is the direct distribution season. It's the experiment with direct distribution rewards. And at the same time, there was agreement within Voltron that rewards would be allocated in direct distribution format, but at the end of August. And that was the problem. The problem was that this season two technically was supposed to have ended in July, at the end of July. And so then the question was, what do we do about it? And the board had 2 long conversations about it because we knew that there was going to be a sub-optimization. It sucks, like if you want to blame anybody for wires getting crossed, by the way, blame me. I'm kind of the OG kind of co-founder at ThriveCoin. I'm, the CEO of ThriveCoin. At the end of the day, I should have been able to kind of see through stuff like that, but it was a mistake that wires there got crossed. And so the impact was, what's the best outcome we can create? And there were really 2 options. Option number 1 was the option that we chose, which is we could decide to extend the season by a month so that we could reward with rewards that were intended to be allocated to Voltron. We could actually reward people in Voltron for all the amazing stuff that gets created by the end of August. And it could be in alignment with what we promised, which was direct distribution rewards. That was option 1. And then option 2 wasn't a really good one. It was, we could end season 2 when it was supposed to end, but direct distribution rewards that were intended for Voltron couldn't have gone out. And then the question is, what even happens to them? That's not even clear. Then the new reward style would have started. The new reward style, was rarity farming rewards, which means that we would have to reimagine all the ways in which we can reward Voltron Hackathon participants. And that felt really confusing and hard. And so the first option, which meant, not optimal to extend the season a month, but it was so much cleaner and clearer, which is why the board sort of unanimously decided to extend season 2 a month, so that we can make sure that Voltron Hackathon participants got rewarded in a way that was in alignment with, frankly, as many of the conversations as you've had as possible. So season 2, total focus on builders. The people on this call are really at the core of all of that. Everybody in the board is really proud of the work that you've done and really grateful for the work that you've done and really excited to support you. And finally, season 3, the purpose and opportunity with season 3 is really simple. We have had a really big focus on builders for a while, even longer than maybe initially intended. And whole point was to lift builders up and really start to double down on and reward a builder community in the DAO. And season 3, the board is wanting to do the same with people, with artists, people in media, content creators, other people who are really deep into governance and want to support governance processes. So basically lifting up sort of the rest of people in the DAO. And so season 3 will be a focus on rarity farming, and it'll also be a focus on, likely be a focus, the board could choose to change their mind, we're not there yet, but likely be a focus on both a governance path and, in a path that is in support of artists and media people and content creators as well. So that's it for the update. And I really want to, answer any questions you have. If you want to do brainstorms, can do that as well. I'll be at the other meeting on the 11th too. And thank you so much for having me here. Really, really means a lot to me.
Thank you very much for this update and for the recap. I think the work you guys have been doing is amazing, and of course all of us here are super grateful to you. While you were elaborating, I think there is one more misunderstanding, and that one is from our side, because early on you had these contributions that were associated with developers, like make a game that gets 1,000 players, or make a game that gets an XP event. And then that was just taken from season 1 and brought into season 2. So we were operating under the impression that everything is just season spanning, So we thought, so we didn't intend to reward people from season 2 in August. Our in our mind, it was just, okay, August is a new season, and people can submit either this season or in the next season. Of course, one thing that we didn't think about was that the reward distribution changes from direct distribution to rarity farming style. But we thought, given that so much is left over, we could just use those leftovers and distribute them later. And I think that was where we really had this disconnect. But from what you've been saying, I think it's pretty clear that the intention on your side, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you intended this the hackathon to be a one-time event, and it should end with season 2, and that's why we or you decided to prolong season 2 so that everyone has enough time to submit their MVPs.
Thank you so much for that greater context and sort of clarification on your side. It allows me to be even clearer on our side too. So to start, the way that at least that I understood it, you'd have to ping the board members to ask them about their understanding. My guess is that their understanding was somewhat close to mine. Is that there's this really big moment with Voltron Hackathon where the MVPs are unveiled, and there are 11 MVPs that are being worked on, and that happens at the end of August. And it's at that point that we can reward it. And the other thing that we understood is that rewards had been promised in the Voltron Hackathon meetings as direct distribution rewards. And we were very clear in the proposal that season 2 is the direct distribution season. So it was kind of those two pieces that, led us to kind of understand that we had, fairly clear criteria that we were working within. That's the first piece. I want to give a little bit more context, though, around the way that ThriveCoin thinks about rewards. So ThriveCoin, we created the Thank Aavegotchi proposal. Sometimes I use ThriveCoin and Thank Aavegotchi interchangeably because ThriveCoin within Aavegotchi is Thank Aavegotchi. So the way that we think about rewards is we try to get together a group of leaders in a community that really understands what value is for that community. What is utility? What is efficiency? What does it mean to really truly honor people in ways that keep them around and have them inspired to continue creating value? And that looks pretty different depending on communities. And usually there are a couple of different ways in which communities think about value. So, for example, within Aavegotchi, what we have learned is that there seem to be 3 pretty big ways, and maybe more, in which people think about value creation. One is building stuff that is useful for community members. Another is governance, supporting clear ways for people to have their voice heard, their talents known within the context of the DAO. And then the second is this creative self-expression thing that it's content / media / art / so it's the third would be that, right? And so what we have focused on with season 2 is really building out and rewarding kind of a builder, what we call path. So a set of activities that builders can engage in that support them in being deeper and deeper contributing members of the DAO, to the point where you're creating these amazing MVPs, right? As we go into season 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6, the point is not to lose, to say, okay, we're done with builders. Let's move on. The hope is that we would keep a builder path that we continue to be rewarding, while at the same time we put a focus on now developing the next thing that's not there, but that the DAO really values. So the focus on season 3 would be, as an example, maybe the governance path or the sort of media, culture, art, etc. Path. So it's not that like it stops. It's that there's some other stuff that we also need to lift up to show the DAO across the board that, you know, that we're honoring their desires in terms of value creation. Are those two pieces
Yes,
helpful?
of course. That makes perfect sense, and we don't want to hog all the rewards, of course.
Yeah. And well-balanced communities, right, tend to be the ones that thrive. And, you know, it's an interesting question in each community, like what's the right balance? And there's never an end answer to that. It's like, it's a question that, you know, any good community is continuously asking themselves and continuously refining.
All right. Do we have some more questions for Daniel in the audience?
Hi there. So I have missed most of the discussions about the subject because I was on holiday. I just came back yesterday, so I tried to rewind the threads, but I think I haven't read everything. But finally, there's not that much that changed, if I get it correctly. We are still supposed to deliver MVPs by the end of August, and the potential rewards that will be distributed directly by ThriveCoin, by Aavegotchi at that moment. Yes.
Yeah. It'll be. ThriveCoin does. I mean, this is just a very specific technicality. We don't distribute the funds. In fact, we never touch them. They get distributed from a multi-sig wallet that is separate from us. But yes, there's not much that changes beyond pushing season 2 back a month.
Okay. Thanks. That's crystal clear for me.
Maybe it's me and my understanding of the rarity farming style of reward, but Voltron Hackathon, there's a judging panel at the end, so I think it was kind of a part of our understanding that this was more like rarity farming style than direct distribution, because depending the project, it would be evaluated. It would get more or less reward, depending from the judging. So maybe that's part of where the confusion come from. Maybe you can explain more what's the rarity farming reward style.
Thanks for the clarification. I had not heard that perspective until now, so I can understand why that would be confusing. So thanks for just letting us know sort of how maybe those two pieces got mixed up. I really appreciate it. In terms of your questions around how rarity farming works, I know that the board is still working on kind of specifically how the rarity farming distributions are going to go. And I'm not sure if it makes sense for me to give a draft right now and then confuse everybody and have to sort of apologize later. Or if I know that Light Piglet on the board, who's been a part of a lot of these meetings as well, is in charge of the specifics around the rarity farming piece right now, or at least he's driving a lot of them. So maybe on the next hackathon meeting that he's a part of, he can go into like how numbers are assigned and how all of that works. Unless I see Helena from the ThriveCoin team is here as well. Helena, unless you want you have kind of more of the specifics and wanted to share any of that.
Guys, what's up? I think in terms of just like the more details, I do agree with Thrive Giraffe that we probably want to make sure that the board has a little more details before we go and share a little bit more on that, but definitely stay tuned.
So that's a fine answer. I mean, if it's not clarified yet, that explains my comment.
Right.
I think maybe another misunderstanding is the fact that there was some MVP delivered at the end of July too. So there was like 2 delivery date for Voltron because it was supposed to span 2 seasons. And so it's not only MVP in development. Some have been already delivered or at least submitted as MVP
PG,
at the end of the first at the official end of the second season. But that's a minority, though. So so I think
sorry,
it's good that
you're breaking up here, which is making it a little difficult. So
sorry.
no. I apologize for speaking over you. It's just on my side at least cutting in and out. Continue. Just let me know when you're done, and I'll know that you're done for sure.
Yeah, so I'm saying there was some expectation that those MVP will have reward for season 2 and could continue working on to get reward for season 3.
Great.
So
Okay.
that's something I think we understood differently from what you according to your explanation. Just wanted to specify that. As I said, I think it's a minority, and I also think it's good that everybody has time to submit their MVP. So all in all, as Fifu said, it doesn't change much. But I just wanted to clarify that part too. So that's it.
Thank you so much for that clarification. I really appreciate it. And I was chatting with someone via DM who shared that with me after we shared the news. We didn't, on the board side and the ThriveCoin side, we didn't, or at least most of us didn't know that. And the person who I was chatting with said that some people stayed up like all night, trying to make sure that they could get sort of the first MVP deadline in on time. And so if any of you here were any of those people, and the lengthening of the season in some way kind of adversely impacted you, again, I'm really sorry about that. And hopefully net it's mostly really significantly positive, but it's definitely not perfect. And PG, is that a Great Dane in your profile picture?
Sorry,
What'd you say?
It's a lab. It's a brown lab.
Oh, it's brown. Okay, got it. Yeah. It looks. I had a Great Dane for a while. Freaking amazing dog, and it reminded me of that dog. So
I understand how the picture could look like that.
I guess just a couple other pieces that everybody here should know, or that's important for me that you know. One is I am ThriveCoin here. I'm Thrive Giraffe on Twitter, or you can reach me via email at daniel at thrivecoin.com. And I and the rest of the ThriveCoin team and the board, we're all pretty responsive. it's really important to us that you have a great experience. So if there's anything else that you need, or you want to talk or get feedback or brainstorm, please reach out. We're here, and we take your happiness seriously. And then the other thing that I wanted everybody here to know, some people kind of have asked about data and analytics and stuff like that. So we are in the process, we're in the early process of kind of building out a dashboard for communities. And it'll probably be, my guess is about 2 months before it's launched, but it's in process. And once we build that, you'll be able to see and understand kind of the value of the number of people, contributions, what contributions they're making, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that will become visible. It is worthwhile to note that it already is. It's just not easily accessible because we put every contribution that people make through Thank Aavegotchi. It goes on chain. So it's there. It's on chain. It's there for life. But we'll be creating a dashboard that makes that really easy and accessible. And before that, as some of you have noticed, we can kind of go back and make calls from the database and, and get the community data that is desirable. We too, everybody here, the last thing that you should probably know, beyond any other questions you ask me, we are a team of mostly engineers. The vast majority of the ThriveCoin team are builders and engineers. So we probably relate. You're building a bunch of MVPs on that level as well.
So yeah, I have just one global remark regarding all the things that you say, and basically the fact that the wire got mixed up at some point. Mm-hmm. I just don't get how you are basically I don't know how to say, you are owning, or you started the hackathon, and it's a full season, one of the 3 full season of the Thank Aavegotchi experience, but nevertheless, no one at Thank Aavegotchi board, no one from ThriveCoin was there on the previous meeting. And basically, the question we had regarding how rewards were going to be distributed, the fact that hitting the end of July deadline was going to get very complicated for most of the project because there was not enough delay. All that stuff is not 1 week or 2 week news. We've been discussing this thing for a month. So I just think there's an issue here regarding how on your side, on the ThriveCoin side, the hackathon itself has been managed, because I think you should have had someone in charge, or at least reporting to the Thank Aavegotchi board on a regular basis. Because like 1 month ago, we already knew, most of us, that the hitting the deadline would be hard, and I just don't get how it came back to you with that much delay, in fact.
Fair enough. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. There's, part of me that feels the same way. Like the mistake that we made, right? All of this is learning, right? Like what we've built, and what we're trying to do here is very novel and unique on a lot of different levels. And each deployment that we do with the community looks very different. There's a lot of learning in those deployments. And so I completely agree with your assessment, which is like, dude, you should have been here. That's what I hear you saying. I agree. And the learning is that, if we sort of conceive of, like, as an example, something like the Voltron Hackathon, we need to continue to be liaisons to it through it all. There was some point, kind of, as you guys, as the community really took it and started running with it on your own, where there was like some excitement internally because people were like, whoa, this is like decentralization. Like, this is great. The community is taking it and run with it. Right. And that was actually exciting. Like there was a belief that in fact wasn't, an indicator of it going right. But while I still do believe it is, like, it's amazing that the community has taken it and run with it, we should have continued to ensure that at a level of communication and at a level of sort of liaising, we kind of had our finger on the pulse of what was going on. Because ultimately, this was a communication issue, right? Like, it's like, dude, why didn't you know a couple weeks ago? Good point. It's a good point. There's a communication issue, and it could have been prevented. And we didn't this time. Going forward, we'll learn, and we'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. But thank you so much for sharing that. I agree with that perspective.
Yeah, sorry for being a bit direct on that one, but yeah, as long as you say, it's a work in progress, and as long as you make the correct adjustments, I think it will be totally fine from there. And I also wanted to ask about the reward distribution, because we had a lot of internal discussion in that meeting regarding how reward will be distributed between projects, meaning there was like a base reward for every project that hit an MVP, a working MVP, if I remember correctly. And we were also supposed to assemble or create kind of a jury with people in this meeting plus people from outside the meetings that were part of Pixelcraft or of the DAO itself, just to discuss and to review all the submitted projects. And there was nothing really defined regarding how the rewards are going to be distributed. I'm not speaking technically, but between different projects and who was supposed to be judging the project. So on that point too, is there a plan and something that is really already prepared on the ThriveCoin side, or are we supposed to decide by ourselves and submit an idea to you?
Great. So I know that the board is actively discussing who is to be judging the projects, and they want to make sure that that the judges are people who have enough technical knowledge, and so if anybody here wants to like informally nominate judges to the board, I'm sure they'll be really, really excited about that. So I know that conversation is ongoing. Al or I think that we have, or T-Bird are both on the board. Do you guys have any other updates on the judging?
Yeah, I can give an update on that. We have been actively thinking about the judge situation, and I agree with Daniel. Definitely, if you have any suggestions, please suggest them. But we've been also thinking of a celebrity judge or two, like maybe Nick Mudge, who has authored the Diamond contracts. I need to do some reaching out to him, but we've been thinking about that. Also, maybe one of the core team members, like if there's a developer at Pixelcraft that would want to be, representative of that, or just people who generally know the value of the protocol, right? I think there's going to be some awesome, great MVPs, but the best judges of this competition are the people who know our protocol best. So definitely an open discussion point too.
Actually, sorry if I may interject. I didn't mean to talk over you, but we actually discussed this exact topic in the last meeting. And before we get our wires crossed again, I thought I'd give a quick update. So the plan that we originally came up with is that we would have 3 tiers. Basically, a basic tier, like it was already mentioned, where everyone who submitted a project description that we were all okay with. This was kind of the gatekeeping step where we thought, okay, we don't want people to submit like 10 lines of code. So we wanted them to submit a project description first, so we know what to expect, how many things to expect, and we would have a step where we could say, well, actually, this is not really enough for what we had in mind. Could you maybe add to it or something? That was the idea behind this. And this would allow us, in turn, to reward the people who do end up submitting an MVP a little higher, because we wouldn't have these low rewards intermingled in it. So the idea was to have a basic tier of 500 Ghost for everyone who submitted the project description and then ends up submitting an MVP that basically resembles that description. And we also want people to try out new things and to step out of their comfort zone. So we also thought about having a kind of alternative tier if something got you stuck and prevented you from completing your MVP, but you can show that you really put in the work and you just couldn't overcome this hurdle, then we would have a consolidation price basically of 100 Ghost, so that if you spend like weeks working on this, it wouldn't be too depressing. And the rest of the rewards, the idea was that we distribute based on a voting system. And this is where we had different ideas, I think, right from the start when this was brought up. While from the Thrive side, there was, and we discussed this in the last meeting, more of the idea to have a small panel of expert judges. We were thinking about having a larger panel of judges. And I in particular think that this could be a really great opportunity to also present all the great work that has been happening within this framework to the community. We once had this event where people could submit pictures of their parcel, and then basically everyone in the community could tag emojis to it, and then based on those emojis you would have a ranking. And we thought that we could adapt something similar, where we have an event where, for example, everyone with the Gotchi gang role, so that the system can't be gained, everyone who has the Gotchi a Gotchi gang role has a Gotchi also, so you can't make 100 bots to gain the system. But the idea was that we open up a channel, let everyone in who has the Gotchi gang role, and then the MVPs are presented, and everyone can just tag an emoji to it. And this way, everyone gets to see all the great things that has been done within Voltron, and we also get, as developers, get more exposure. And we have another event, and those events are always awesome. Especially those first raffle event in season 1 you guys did was brilliant. But then there was concern that the general public, so to speak, has no expert knowledge, or most of the people have no expert knowledge in development. So this could lead to just picking the most favorite people, or something that might actually be super useful but is not visually very impressive, might not do as well as with an expert judge. So something of a 50-50 idea came to mind, where we thought, okay, we could have a community event on the one side, because I think this would be very valuable, but we could have on the other side the expert judges, and then either have it like a 50-50 split, that half the rewards are distributed via the expert judging and half by the community, or that the community is one of the expert votes that has some weight to it, to somehow find this balance between, hey, everyone gets to be a judge and everyone gets to participate, and also having the experts saying, because we don't want people to or we want people to have that, right? To have an expert say, hey, this is really awesome what you did there. This is equally cool as having the community engage. And so this is where we ended last time, where we weren't really sure how exactly we can combine these two ideas.
Thank you so much for sharing this. This is it's exciting to hear, and I'm so glad I'm here too. Because you're right, this is it's an area where, again, we potentially could have gotten our wires crossed, but we're not going to now. I know that Helena and I both like the idea of having sort of tiers. We have done that in other hackathon and contest style events, and it's always important because like there's some version of I tried but it just didn't happen the way I hoped, and then there's some version of I did exactly what was asked of me, and then there's another version that's like I went way above and beyond and freaking crushed it, right? And our ability to reward all three of those is really important. So I really like that you're thinking that way. My guess is that so the only piece of what you talked about that is a little bit more complicated is sort of the whole voting piece and how that works, and the sort of event connected to it, and can we do voting in a way that is aligned with direct distribution, or does it fit in? Now I understand a little bit more of PG's comment, right? Or does it fit in more with like the rarity farming side of things? And I think maybe the way that we resolve this is, one, I hope I wrote good notes. I think I did. And we've also got a recording of this. I'm going to make sure that the whole board sort of hears that all of this. And, I think that there's definitely sort of a version that my guess is the board would be happy and excited to do. Alan T-Bird can share otherwise if you disagree with me. And there might be some really good brainstorming that we could quickly do together, because one of the aligned things that the board was talking about was that two things are important. One is to make sure that all of this work gets visibility, and whether it means that there's like a demo day that happens like on one of the Saturday or Sunday community-wide calls, and immediately you've got 60 or 80 people who are listening on top of anybody else that brings in, or whether that means, like an example, the board was looking at putting together a type of contribution where somebody interviews each MVP and they have to ask like 10 of 15 questions that exist there. So, what was your inspiration? What is the impact of this for Aavegotchi from your perspective? What was the process like creating this? Those kinds of questions. And then their job would be to create content with that they could share on Medium or Twitter or YouTube. And before they share it, they'd get the approval of sort of the MVP creators as well. And the board was really excited about that because, doing the work is great and really hard and amazing. You also are going to want people to use it, right? That's the whole point, to create value. So I think there's some alignment around that desire. And probably the best way to just nail it down might be either the board members could come onto the August 11th hackathon call, or maybe we can create an open, we actually have open board calls every Monday. So if any Voltron Hackathon people wanted to come onto that call, which it's, my tomorrow, would love to have you there too, because then we could work it out there as well.
I think that's a great idea. I will definitely be there.
Awesome. Open invitation, and I will let the board as well know that as many of them as possible, please come on the 11th to the Voltron meeting. Let's learn from where we had some learning bumps and get it right. So I'm excited about that. Is there anything that anybody else sort of wants or needs from me right now? I know you have a bunch of other things you wanted to talk about as well, so I don't want to take up any more of your time than is helpful.
And no worries. I mean, this is the most important thing. I was kind of hoping to be able to finalize this because like FIFO mentioned, we have been talking about this for I think 4 weeks now. But on the other hand, it is important to get this right now, and there are a lot of good ideas out there. So yeah, I'm happy to continue this over the next meetings, whether it'll be tomorrow or in the next Voltron meeting, to really find common ground and pick a winning idea here or try to combine them.
Great. That sounds perfect. And so it sounds like the proposal, I said it a little implicitly, so I'll make it explicit. The proposal is anybody here who feels called, please come on to the open board call in the Aavegotchi server tomorrow, and we'll see if we can get final clarity there. And if we can't get final clarity, then we'd have board members come on to the August 11th Voltron Hackathon call. But that's 5 days away. So, optimally it would be tomorrow. So there can be more preparation. So that's the proposal. Does that work for everybody here?
Sounds good to me.
I try. Sounds good to me too. I just don't want to stress anybody, but we're already on 6th of August. We're supposed to be ready to review project in like 3 weeks. Time is going to fly, so I think that in the next 10 days we need to have a definitive solution. If we don't want to if we want it to be comfortable. Otherwise, we will have to improvise something, and we will be taken by surprise by the time itself. So LA is not really that comfortable to create a judge panel. That's what I wanted to say, in my opinion. It's August, a lot of people are in holidays, a lot of people will not respond very quick, so we should get ahead of this.
Let's do it. I absolutely tend to agree with you.
And regarding the project builders that are here, my own main idea was that every team that is submitting one MVP should be able to only one member per team should be able, if we decide to integrate some of the people here, some of the builders in the judge panel, it should be one per team. I think it's fair, and of course you cannot judge your or review your own project, of course. But yeah, I think one per team would be great, so everyone is concerned about the thing, and there's a lot of people with a lot of different skills and talents in the meeting, so I guess it will bring a lot of skills also to the panel.
Sounds appropriate. Well, this has been great. Thank you all for having me here, and I've really appreciated this time with you. And it's exciting to, feel like we are getting on the same page, and we are stronger together. Always believe that we are stronger together.
Yes, definitely. And just before you leave us, one more point to really hammer down about improving communication going forward. So from what I understood, or what it sounded like to me, is that at any point, if we are not sure if something we discussed might or might not have reached you, you don't mind if we reach out to you directly.
Not only do I not mind, I mean, please do. So you can reach out to me directly. I give my contact information earlier, but again, I'm ThriveCoin right here, but I'm ThriveGiraffe on Twitter, or you can email me at Daniel at thrivecoin.com. You can reach out to Helena directly. She is on our customer success team. She has had a ton of success. She was a steward, which is an elected role at Aavegotchi, and did a ton of work for Aavegotchi before coming on to the Vank 8 board, and got to see just a ton of success there, and then came on to the ThriveCoin team. So you can reach out to her. So Helena, do you want to share your information as well, so that if anybody wants to connect?
Yeah, for sure. Would love to connect with everybody here and anyone who's interested. So, in terms of Discord, my handle is just Helena ETH, as you kind of see here. On Twitter, I am Helena_ETH. And then in terms of other socials, my email is helena@thrivecoin.com. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me, like here on Discord or any of those other places, and would love to kind of chat or hear about anything that you have to say. So thanks for having us today, everyone.
And we and the board feels the same way. I mean, every board member, wants to be helpful as well. So please, if you feel more comfortable reaching out to any of them, please feel free to do so.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. This is, again, it's been a great call. Really, really appreciate it.
Is there anything that anyone else wants to bring up? Anything miscellaneous, or some more questions towards Thrive directly now that we have them, or is anyone good? All right, then I think makes sense to conclude here. Thank you everyone for joining. It's been some time since we've seen so many faces at once. Yeah, it was an awesome meeting, and I think it was really productive. Thank you guys so much for coming, especially to the Thrive team here.
Yeah, thank you, and great to see all your faces too. So let's do it. Very, very excited for the end of this hackathon, and hopefully it's just the beginning of many. So, all right, thanks, friends. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.